Okay, this is just for the open forum, not like bound to one person can speak. Okay, because this is the first time I just started like this way group discussion. So I am also not sure from how we can start, but I just roughly plan about this. So if you have any thoughts like on the Kubernetes learning, any blockers, or the while exercising or studying the Kubernetes, what kind of issues you are facing, how from where which resources you are following to learn the Kubernetes, and where you are getting like sometimes you feel that we are reading and watching lots of videos, but still we are not able to understand. So those kind of thoughts we can just put out there. And just for today's agenda, it's very simple, like just to basic understanding of the Kubernetes. Then what is the earlier version like monolithic and the microservices, Kubernetes architecture and the components part. So EKS cluster setup wise, which is fine. You can do your own practice or you can use any playgrounds for that. I will definitely share the information from where we can do the hands-on practical for the Kubernetes. There are multiple ways, but I have just one easy way that Killer Coda, if you heard about cloud code as well, code cloud, but I think it's a chargeable. You need to sign up
Coded
for
service.
their services.
Mm.
Yeah, but I think it's not free, right?
Yes, now it's paid.
You need to, yeah, it's paid, but Killer Code is a free one, so you can
Yes.
definitely use that. I started the recording. Let me start the screen as well. I will just go through the just run book about this, which I created from my experience and my friend circle, which they are working on the core part on the Kubernetes. Okay. Let me give you one more here. The person, lots of freshers are there, right? So last time I just shared this link. So forget about this costing and all. But for you, if you want to learn your own self, you can go to this basic understanding for this DevOps, because DevOps is not a particular tool. Like if you learn the Kubernetes, then you will expert of the DevOps. No. So there are multiple things involved. Why the organization uses or adapting the DevOps culture like that. So all the things are prerequisites. Then the key tools, the technology which we need to understand what is the working of this. And based on my experience, and as you also guys are already working somewhere, right? So these are not the like a rocket science कि आप कर नहीं सकते, right? You cannot do. Definitely you can do, but you need a proper roadmap and the guidance. So that if you set up your life cycle like for 1 month or 2 months something, that definitely you can just go as per the plan. You will definitely learn. So there might be lots of hiccups and challenge. Sometimes you able to understand the concept, sometimes not able to understand. So for that is the reason I just started this session. So at least you can put your thought or questions. So someone who knows the answer, that can definitely help out you. So this is just a roadmap for you, the person who is the fresher. You can read about the Linux, then shell scripting little bit. So nowadays, definitely there are lots of AI tools available, ChatGPT and other things you can definitely use for writing the shell scripting or the any Python scripting. Just the one thing, the major role is like you need to put your prompting properly when you use the ChatGPT. So that is the key of this success on the AI, ChatGPT or any AI tool. Then Git, GitLab, GitHub Action, then you're obviously any cloud, just not for the AWS, but this my AWS is playing major role in the market. That's why I just mentioned the AWS. If you're willing to learn multi-cloud, you can definitely go with the Azure or GCP. But Azure and the AWS has lots of market. GCP also growing. Okay. Then core services I mentioned, and obviously the containerization, the basic understanding of the Docker, then Kubernetes, and the CI/CD pipeline, which we call it as a DevSecOps or GitOps, वगैरह. Infrastructure as a code. I just mentioned the Terraform here, but some company might use CDK, AWS CDK is similar to Terraform. CloudFormation also use, which we call as a CFT, but it's a major one, like a complex to write the code. CDK is very simple. You will easily understand like in a 1 month or 2 month, whatever. And some SRE principles and this monitoring and observability part. I have not added here Loki and Open Telemetry. You can just definitely add your based on your knowledge, and it's easy to learn. It's a product of Grafana Loki and your CNCF Open Telemetry products, and some project management tool like Jira, Confluence. These are not a big thing. You can easily learn this. I will share this if you need. Okay. So now when we say about the from freshers, anyone have any doubts before we start to the session?
No.
Sir, where we can access the recorded session of this meeting?
We'll share the we'll try to share the link. I think after recording it will store in Drive, so we can share that link, right? Right, Namdev, or
Oh, sorry, I'm talking on mute. So I can either I can upload on YouTube channel or I can share this on Google Drive and I will share the public link on our group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Vishal, go ahead.
Yeah, sir, it is necessary to learn Helm after Kubernetes, or it is not mandatory?
Definitely, it's necessary to learn because it's ultimately reduce your work, right? When you handle the multiple microservices to manage and deploy the services, that's reduce your workload. And almost all organization using that Helm chart.
Okay, sir. And one question, sir, you are talking about the sprint. So the sprint is the part of agile methodology. So how the DevOps is different from this agile methodology?
That's in sprint planning basically how we can plan our tasks within it, like in our thing like where we using for the 2 weeks sprint planning. So how we can planning for that particular task should cover within a 2 weeks and how we if anything spill over. So that's basically the general overview of the project management tool. How we can plan the sprint. If some tasks spill over, then how we can carry forward to the next sprint like that. That is the things I just mentioned there.
Okay. Thank you.
Some project might follow the
Uh,
sprint agile method. Some might be Kanban board, waterfall model like that. But mostly sprint plan will work and used by the organization.
Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Uh, Being a DevOps engineer, how much it is necessary that one should learn and Kubernetes?
Sorry, I'm speaking on mute. The question is,
How much it is necessary for a DevOps engineer to learn Kubernetes?
so nowadays, if you see the market or any, for example, if I can give you the simple, straightforward example, you can go to the Naukri.com, open the JD for any DevOps engineer. You will definitely see their containerization and the Kubernetes part. So based on the need, because earlier things, people are using physical servers, bare metal server, VMware, right? And some sort of the container virtualizations. But nowadays, if you see the services, there are people are trying to avoid the monolithic applications. Completely, people are using the microservices, and that's definitely help out to manage the multi-tenancy and the other projects. So people, maximum people are using the Kubernetes now, or some project might have a ECS container. So instead of sticking with the bare metal servers and the container other like VMware वगैरह, so you can just we need to learn this part, microservice or the Kubernetes part and the containerization. That is the need of this today's era basically, because that
Okay.
gives that kind of benefits. Anyone any other
Okay.
thoughts, Sanoj and other things?
yeah, just normal view. For example, what's his name? Ashwamegh,
Ah,
right?
yes. Yes.
Ashwamegh, yeah. So basically, earlier the company basically used for monolithic architecture. That's why I think uh, Namdev mentioned like first just be prepared about what's the basic difference between monolithic and microservices. So basically right now industries are moving to microservices. And why microservices? Because in monolithic, the management of softwares, as well as, let's say you want to add some kind of a feature. So if you disturb any code, it will impact whole code. Let's take the example of microservices as Instagram. Let's say Instagram has reels features, chat, and let's say ki Instagram wants to add some kind of a AI feature in chat. So it should not be impact on other component, whether it is a reel, whether it is a camera or something else, right? So they want to scale up any component. And for example, let's say you are using some kind of a this monolithic architecture, so you can't go to up to, for example, you have a option like 50 TB hard disks, and you can't go beyond 50 TB hard disks. So how will you manage? It's not possible, right? But if
Yes.
you have microservice architecture, you can scale as much as you want, right? So those company who are shifting from monolithic to microservices, and they want to better resource management, they are using Kubernetes. And those who is still in monolithic architecture, they don't need, basically. So currently all are just shifting microservices because they have advantages. So you just read about it. It doesn't matter what kind of a software it does. It matters only if your software requires or not. If it's required, then you can use Kubernetes. Otherwise, for example, any industry that is very big, so they can go for Kubernetes. If it's a small kind or mid-level, then they generally use ECS whole thing. But yeah, I think recently AWS added more features in ECS, so I think now it's supporting well other features as well, just like Kubernetes. Did you get my point, or should I?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, Namdev, we can proceed further.
Yeah, anyone know any other thoughts who is already working on this as a DevOps?
Yeah, I just
Anyone
want
here?
to.
Yeah.
I'm already working as a DevOps SRE for 2 years, but I took a break in between. So I thought of revising the concepts with you guys today
Okay.
for the Kubernetes. So one suggestion for beginners would be to start with Docker or containers
Mm.
first, because Kubernetes in itself is like at its functionality, it's a container orchestration platform. So we just need to understand like what can be done with Docker and what cannot be done with Docker, and how Kubernetes is helping us with operational challenges that comes with the containers, and some of the things that Sanuj mentioned with the microservices architecture and things like that. So I guess that fundamental understanding is a must before we jump into the Kubernetes. And people who are from the development background, I would just say that Kubernetes is fundamentally a bunch of APIs and controllers which are extensible. So if you look at from that point of view, it is very easy to understand, because going forward, after learning the basics of the Kubernetes, you might run into things like operators and CRDs and things like that. So in order to understand them, you need to view Kubernetes as APIs and controllers which are extensible. And yeah, I guess the roadmap that you have shown is pretty much good enough for the beginners.
Yeah. Thank you for the insights.
Thank you.
So definitely nowadays, if you might also experience that people are trying to directly jump to the interview preparation, right? So that's definitely wrong way. So first, at least understand the basic stuff. What is, see, you can clear your interview by taking the proxy things or some other stuffs. But what about when you allocate the project? How you will sustain there, right? So definitely your manager will analyze, your team lead will analyze, and obviously you will get in the PIP, right? Or sometimes company might fire you. So why the people need directly the interview clearance, right? So first try to build set your goals on the daily basis, how much, let's say 1 hour, 2 hour or something, and just get those roadmap clear for 2 months or something. It's totally depend on the each individual candidate grasping power, how you can quickly learn, right? So that's totally depend on the individual person interest area. So because now in today's era, definitely to be honestly speaking, no one can give you spoon feeding. So we need to take initiative. We need to learn. If something getting opportunity like this, you can just speak up in front of the other people's. Don't worry if it's a silly questions or something, or even you make any mistakes. So at least you will someone might you correct, right? This is the wrong way. You need to follow this way, right? So we need to increase our network connectivity in the through the LinkedIn or any other platform wherever you get. Increase your good friend circles, right? Instead of wasting on the time on the social media or something. So that's how we can utilize the timing on the right way, and you can just follow your roadmap strategy which you follow to prepare. Akshay, you already working. So what resources you follow on the Kubernetes to learning the Kubernetes? Can you provide any insights?
Uh, I've learned it like 2.5 years ago, but I left my job like last year. I'm currently on sabbatical leave. So
Okay.
I'm currently revising it again. So when I was beginning in 2021, in 2022, when I was learning, I used resources like this 𝐾𝐫 thing, playgrounds and things that you mentioned. And I used to configure Minikube in my host local laptop so that both master and worker
Okay.
nodes are on the same machine. And
Hmm.
I didn't go in deep with that. Just understood that with the Docker, we cannot productionize our applications because it's just like a containerization engine. And
Hmm.
initially, people used to compare Docker and Kubernetes, which I felt bit stupid because Docker is a containerization engine and Kubernetes is a container orchestration platform. So it's like comparing apples and oranges. But there is this
Hmm.
thing like Docker Swarm and things like that. And the main reason people didn't move there is uh, people did not want to stick with the single containerization vendor. So if you know, if you are familiar because you're working as a DevOps engineer, like currently you take any distribution of the Kubernetes, whether it's EKS, AKS, GKE, the runtime, the CRI is not Docker. Docker shim has been deprecated long ago, like around 2 to 3 years ago. So the container runtime is a container D. So
Yeah.
I understood the differences basically, like how the containers work. First of all, the Docker should be very clear. What is a container? Like why it is using Linux kernel features like C groups,
Hmm.
chroot, Linux kernel namespaces to provide isolation at OS level. How does it handle volumes? How does it handle networking? And what sort of this production operational challenges does Kubernetes solves? So if you understand that, then it's like just remembering the terminology nomenclature of the Kubernetes. I guess from there it's very easy. But learning is one thing, and managing things are another thing. So when I was
Yeah. Definitely.
administrating the Kubernetes in my organization, so they were like very challenges with regards to things like ingresses and ingress rules, volumes, and
Hmm.
deploying MongoDB databases in the Kubernetes cluster. I don't know people are why they are so stupid to deploy databases in the Kubernetes cluster. It's not meant for that
Yeah.
because
We should not. Yeah.
so I mean, only in dev we used to have that in dev setups. In production,
Hmm.
we used to use remote databases. Uh, Predominantly maintained the Kubernetes cluster as stateless. But yeah, in developer environments, we used to have this issue when we are upgrading the Helm version from one version to
Hmm.
another version. It used to throw some errors, and there was no chat GPT during that time. So it used to take like a lot of time to understand where things went wrong and how to patch the volumes before we delete them, things like that. Basically, I used to run into, but they were like good learning opportunities. One thing that I found very complex is the networking part of the Kubernetes. I guess it is a bit complex because it's not that straightforward. Sanuj was explaining advantages about microservices. I would argue like there are too many disadvantages with the microservices in terms of especially networking, load balancing, maintaining
Yes.
session affinity. So that you will only learn with experience.
Yeah, if you
Yep.
get those kind of projects in the real time, definitely. Sanoj, you can put your thoughts on.
Yeah. Basically, every coin has a two face, right? Advantage and disadvantage. So it depends on the architecture of the software, right? How it formed. If it suits, monolithic, then we can go for monolithic. Otherwise, we can shift for microservice. It doesn't uh, allow, just use for every software, architecture microservice. It doesn't make any sense, right? So
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
using, that is not suit for microservices, and you are just go for blindly microservices, then obviously it will, for you disaster.
Yeah, the only reason I was mentioning because I've seen some of the startups that I've interviewed with, like
They did
they
some
don't
backend.
have like a user base of like more than 1,000 or 10,000. They are directly jumping away into microservices, which is
Correct.
like a
Mm.
crap idea because they would actually end up spending more money on spinning up the
Yes.
Kubernetes cluster because
Correct.
Kubernetes is like really expensive for a small business
Mm,
to be in.
mm,
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Namdev was mentioning the observability part. So I was like an SRE. I started off as an SRE. So uh, basically, observability is another big challenge. Kubernetes by default is a distributed system. So you need to bring in the tracing part and APM and all that. And you need to link APM with RUM. If you are if you are having good budgets, if your organization is very big, then they might onboard a SaaS based observability tool like Datadog, where it is very easy for the instrumentation and everything is taken care of by the tool, like APM and RUM or tracing. So we can easily get it instead of like huge effort. But if you are doing everything with the open source, like just with vanilla, Prometheus, Grafana, and Elk Stack, then it is bit challenge because again we need to instrument the code with the tracing library like open telemetry that you have mentioned. So it is bit operationally in terms of engineering perspective, it is bit of challenge.
Yeah, we need to manage our own, right, to complete setup and
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
things.
So basically in my last organization we used their plan was to move away from Kubernetes into something called as container apps. So they are like you don't manage the host node machine yourself. So in that way, like they were able to manage networking and storage very easily without knowing about the Kubernetes very well. And also the tracing part and the logging part was also very easy because you had this integration between multiple vendors. So Azure Container Apps, this has default integration with Datadog. So you don't need to instrument a tracing library in your application code to push the traces into the Datadog. So that had those advantages.
Yeah. Anyone, any fields like to learn the Kubernetes, any challenges or where you stuck somewhere while you're reading or which resources you are following to learn the Kubernetes from the freshers or anyone?
I didn't work on Kubernetes, but for my self-learning, I followed Mumshad course on Udemy.
Okay.
Sir, I use YouTube resources to learn Kubernetes. 2 weeks ago, and I learned about the architecture, how it works, and what are the components of the master nodes and worker nodes in that. But I want to start the party like a practical knowledge based on hands-on experience or that part, but I don't know how to start. Like I got stuck into that.
Yeah, there might be different cases. Like sometimes we able to read and understand, but if you can't do the practicals or any project setup, so then we will not get that much confidence how we can set up. Like similar, like we know like how to swim in the any pool, right? But we didn't actually do dive and just do the hands-on. So definitely we will go down, right? So practical is must after reading the theoretical part, so that we will definitely not miss that area. And once you do a theoretical reading and then some sort of hands-on practicals, then you can take a small project and you can just build that project. Definitely you might get some challenges while you set up your own, but after some learning and troubleshooting, you will definitely learn those.
Sir,
Okay,
could you
I will
please
share
provide
some
me the
resource.
tips for, like, I want to practice the Kubernetes. Could you please provide some tips for me?
Sorry, resource material.
Yes, sir. Like how to practice, where I can access the project or any idea about that.
Okay, this is just a repo which I prepared last time. I will share this as well. Okay, so this is based on my and my other friend circle, which they are already working on the core part. So when we think about the Kubernetes, these are the major part which we need to learn. Definitely, it will take some time. There are lots of things available in the Kubernetes part, like introduction, architecture, installation and configuration. Then these are the some concepts or component you can say: pods, kubelet, container D, Docker, proxy, label selectors. These are things we are managing the YAML file. Then other static pods and sidecars. Sidecar also we use in earlier project. Then your Kubernetes services, components. These are the part of the architecture, right? Then these are the controllers, ingress, liveness, readiness probe, namespaces, logging and monitoring. Definitely Kubernetes has your own dashboards. If you deploy that pod for that Kubernetes dashboards, but people, some organizations also export the logs in the either Grafana or any other container D or I think Fluent D, not container D, and they use visualization tool for the Grafana or something. Secrets management, AWS, we are using the secret manager, but you can use also separate one. Deployment strategy, how we can roll back the deployments if something goes wrong with any production release, then how you can roll back to the last deployment status, which was the stable version. Then maintenance part, patching, upgradation, and I think backup part I just miss here, but you can just add backup as well. Okay, how you can take the cluster backup. Then security, storage, pipeline setup, because that also the major challenge. Once you do the one-time setup for the one any project, then the next project you can easily set up. Once you learn how we can completely secure or build the CI/CD pipeline for, it might be your Docker container or Kubernetes architecture for the environment deployment. Once you learn for any single project, so you will get better idea. Yeah, this kind of way we can just write down the YAML file for the, let's say you are using the for the deployment GitHub Actions or GitLab CI/CD or any Argo CD something. So you can definitely write down that YAML file for the complete CI/CD pipeline. And definitely we need to add that in the CI/CD pipeline, the SonarQube, Trivy, or other security tools for the scanning point of view. Then you can just try to build some sort of project there. Definitely you will get confidence over there, and you can just create proper profile. So that also help out in the resume or sorting other part. This way you can just definitely get out from anywhere on the, if you just search about the how to optimize the your LinkedIn profile or your GitHub or your any Naukri profile like that. People are charging for this actually, right? How you can optimize and how you can resume build your resume with the ATS friendly. There are lots of things are available in the market who charge for this.
Correct.
So the resources basically definitely, as you said, you can just follow the YouTube channel, whichever you follow. I'm not saying like you can follow the Mumshad or any other tools. You can, it's totally depend on you which you can follow. But these are the official website of this. This is since this is developed by the Google engineers, but currently it's managed by the CNCF products. This is the official website, and this is official website for the Kubernetes. So you can also read his official documentation, where you will get definitely lots of good hands-on. And even you go for the any certification of the Kubernetes, only this website is allowed there. No other Google browsing allowed. Only this, from this you can set up all your YAML file and other setups. So definitely there are lots of things available in this official website. Okay, instead of following here and there, you can definitely go through this at least once, so you will get more understanding on this. And Kubernetes cluster point of view, I have this repo. You can just definitely explore more on that. I just mentioned the step by step how you can just create the cluster and what prerequisites we need before we creating the cluster on your from your local machine, not the CI/CD. CI/CD part will be definitely different. I already published the video, or you can just refer any other video as well. But these are the major area which, if you want to become at least 50 to 60% knowledge on the Kubernetes, we need to learn this theoretical and practical as well. I have not mentioned the YAML file, the example here, but you can get from anywhere on the chat GPT to search. So nowadays, if you go like before AI implemented or hype published in the market, so normally we IT people follow the Stack Overflow, right? You already might follow this website.
Yes.
Stack Overflow is one of the choice, right, for every IT engineer. Doesn't matter you are from the developer background or DBA or any other roles, right? So this is one of the best website. But nowadays, mostly people are following this AI tool, which is the Chat GPT or any other tools. Okay, because instead of going here and there, he will automatically collect from the background and he will give you the one small chunks basically overview, so you can follow this kind of way. In the current scenario where I'm working on the project, so I'm using the CDK there, not the Terraform. So multiple times it's getting very helpful for me to sometimes if you face any issues in the troubleshooting, like for the deployment cycle. So some component or variables might different version conflicts, it's not working properly, then those error if I put here, it will analyze the error and he will give you the solution, like you can apply this. As since you already have a little bit knowledge on the background, like this like infrastructure as a code, you will easily understand, yeah, this is mistake I made and I need to fix this way. At least because this is not a complete 100% correct, right? As you can see the line here, chat GPT can make mistakes. Okay, so don't completely rely on this, but definitely this will give you the some way, like this way you can just follow the strategies or something. So definitely this will help out you if you use daily basis, just not for the technical stuffs. Even you want to write any mail, right? Let's say act as a content writer, right? Write mail to AWS team for billing adjustment, right? Since I am student and I don't have money to pay bill. Okay. So he will give the proper mail for you. You don't have to invest 10 to 15 minutes to just think and write the mail. Within a few clicks, you will get this ready-made template. So wherever you want to change some sort, line, something, you can definitely just do changes and you can just copy paste. If you want to add any emojis, let's say, you can just simply say like add emojis. As we've seen lots of on the social media or LinkedIn messages, right? So we see small icons there like this. So we can easily add those to this chat GPT or any your favorite AI model as tools. Even for any client communication or any, let's say when we working at the real-time project, we need to coordinate with the clients or some other platform team or some other things. So definitely you can just use for that as well to avoid any grammatical mistakes or to make more professionalized message, right? So he will give you some summarize for that. Definitely this will help out and reduce our work, and is basically it will definitely impress because you are writing the proper professional message, right? So that way. Other things I can suggest, you can also refer the dev.to tool. This is managed by the AWS builder. I cannot show this Slack channel, which because I'm part of the community builder, but it's not allowed under the policy. But if you are willing to showcase or communicate to the community, like doesn't matter, you should be on the YouTube channel. Either you can create your GitHub profile or write down the projects related to AWS service only, or dev.to or medium.com, right? So those, and you will become the community builder of this AWS. So lots of benefits are there. You can communicate to the around 3,000 or more than that people across the world. So if you have any doubts, any challenges, you can definitely ask them. There are multiple Slack channel groups where you can discuss with them. So you will get lots of benefits. Certification voucher you will get, $500 in your AWS account, right? So there are multiple benefits. Cloud Academy subscription for 1 year, so where you can view and watch lots of videos available there, courses. You don't need to purchase any Udemy courses. And as you see the swags, right? So bags and other toolkits you will definitely get there. So multiple features are there. If you, but for that you need to contribute to the community, either through the YouTube channel or either through this media, any websites or GitHub, where you have showcase your skill about the AWS services. This one as well, Medium. But Dev.to is officially handled by this AWS community builder. We can also create the account and we can just post our as well. And sometimes nowadays people are also trying to put the small to advanced project on the GitHub as well. So whenever you see any friend circle who is extensively working on the Kubernetes or any Docker DevOps part, so just check their profile. If they have added any GitHub profile, right? So definitely try to explore, spend at least 2-3 minutes. If he had mentioned any projects there related to any kind like AWS Cloud or Terraform or Kubernetes part, you can definitely try to understand what he has written there, right? So this way also you can just learn from the networking point of view, right? So there are multiple ways. It's totally depend on how, where you have invested your time, either social media reels or this good stuffs when you are in the learning phase or we are urgently need some jobs or something. So we can utilize time accordingly. Yeah. Anyone, any other thoughts?
And Namdev, you mentioned CDK. Is that like AWS CDK or Terraform CDK?
AWS CDK. AWS CDK is designed by the AWS and it's not supported multi-cloud. It's only supported the AWS cloud.
Yeah, that's the only vendor it supports, right? Only provider it supports.
Yeah, only. Yes.
Mhm. So that means your
And I would say it's
infrastructure.
yeah, sorry.
So your entire infrastructure as a code strategy is just to maintain the configs of AWS, like, or do you use it for others as well? How do you manage multiple provider IAC?
We in project we have only a CDK, not the Terraform. There are multiple other projects who is handling different team. They are using
Mm-hmm.
the Terraform,
Okay.
but in
The
our case
Terraform
we are using CDK.
also, yeah, I've recently seen like the Terraform also has like this CDK part. I guess the advantage there is like we can work with all the providers that the Terraform already provides, and we can also write the code in Python or TypeScript or whatever the dev-centric approach that we are using.
Yeah, CDK supports multiple programming language. Python,
Yeah.
CDK, sorry, TypeScript. We are using with the CDK with TypeScript,
Okay. Okay. And how does
and
deployment?
it's very straightforward. Initially, we thought you might fear like we will able to learn or
Mhm.
not, but it's definitely not that much complex. For that we
Mhm.
definitely we should learn some, or we need to change the mindset, like we need to think about the developer perspective, because that
Mhm.
will reduce our efforts and the other work if we little bit know about how to use the parameters, variables, and other
Mhm.
stuffs in the code.
Mhm. Yeah, but so basically, in my last project, I've used Pulumi in .NET. Like what they did is like they created a .NET project instead of a Pulumi project. They created a .NET project, and they used Pulumi client libraries in that project. But the coding part was like you need to have a bit of dev background just to understand it because the dependency management, the concepts of those what do you call inputs and outputs that you use in Terraform, like they are totally different in this what do you call in Pulumi or CDK way of doing things. So that was a bit of challenge I have seen.
Yeah, if you have some sort of developer background, or even let's say we don't have, we are from the infrastructure background, right? So at least we need to some learn about the backgrounds of this developer point of views, because that will definitely help out us when we do the troubleshooting or any configuration files like that.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
person who are managing the full stack engineer or backend developer, that have more scope in this to become a DevOps
yeah, yeah,
engineer,
yeah. I guess
because they already
the
know the some sort of bucket there.
Yeah, I guess the future trend would be going towards this thing only. I guess CDKs only. I guess most of the companies are exploring things like Crossplane and Pulumi, but the thing is they don't have provider support as much as Terraform
Hmm.
does. So Terraform also introduced this CDK part because
Yeah, yeah, right.
I used to manage even the Datadog config and Cloudflare config as infrastructure as a code. So it was strictly infrastructure as code, whatever you want to touch within our stack. So the Pulumi did not support all the provider support. So uh, some places we used Terraform, some places we used Pulumi. But going forward, I guess it will be like completely dev-centric infrastructure as a code.
Yeah, CDK is very interesting topic. So people who already know the Terraform, that can definitely try to learn the CDK as well.
Yeah, I would suggest that as well.
I already prepared the playlist for that. I will definitely, if you visit my channel, definitely I will put the notes in the GitHub as well soon once I get the time. But you can definitely, where it is, CDK, this one. I think I have created 10 videos from the
Okay.
complete introduction part, setup, project setup, then how we can deploy the things. This is not a
Okay.
core level like the people are more the
Mm-hmm.
dev syntax like the developer or something. They will configure
Mm-hmm.
more advanced as well. I have seen in the
Mm-hmm.
other
Yeah,
project.
yeah,
So
yeah.
testing part, other troubleshooting part they configure. But for the freshers, it's very enough to learn as a basic one. So
So
if someone,
basically, you guys are not maintaining it as a project like a TypeScript, any framework project, like you're just maintaining it as just an infrastructure project. I guess you're not packaging those things and publishing it, right? Or how do you reuse those things?
yeah, we have created the separate file for that. And we have for the moduling, like you're saying modules for the
Yeah,
any
yeah, yeah,
particular
yeah.
package.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that is for the separate team.
Okay, okay.
So they
Mm-hmm.
will create the framework and they will publish, and that publish we
Okay, okay.
use in our
Right,
project.
right, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah.
say you want to deploy the S3 bucket from the CDK.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
in normal way, you can definitely use CDK default S3 bucket module, but they
Mm-hmm.
have a customized it to more secure. So your
Yeah, yeah,
bucket
yeah.
should not be by default public.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So lots of
Organizational
policies they will automatic.
basically,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They have a
basically it will be
separate dev
based on,
centric team.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
use that
Yeah,
customization.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically the one which I have worked is like they are the guys they were divided on basis of product because I used to work for a product based company.
Mm.
So that individual product suits they have their own way of doing things, and they used to create those packages. They used to publish this infrastructure as a code as a NuGet packages because we used .NET and developer was also using .NET. They used to publish it to the artifact registry like Azure artifacts, but you can publish it to JFrog or other things as well. And you can consume by it can be consumed by any other team because it is already baked in with all the compliance settings.
Yeah. Anyone, any other thoughts or any doubts related to any general topic or this Kubernetes part? Suppose you have something to share.
Yeah, basically, uh, I think all freshers or they want to move from um, other background to DevOps, right? So actually, all our wants to just what are the roadmap or from where they just need to start, right? What things first they need to understand. For example, someone is in a, let's say, DB, right? DBA, database administrator. So what things first, in that perspective, what things first need to learn, whether they want to just go directly to learning this Docker or then shift for Kubernetes, or first they need to understand the cloud perspective. What's the cloud? Basically, first they need to understand how AWS works or how we can provision at least one or two resources. Just check, and after that, they comes to this networking part, because networking is a very crucial. If you don't understand the networking concept, then it's for you it's very disaster when it comes to production. And then we can understand the basic things, how things are working. For example, Docker. So let's say we are saying like Docker is creating container. How Docker is able to create container? What's the logic behind? So if you understand, dig on that point, or understand the basic concept, then you will understand the advanced concept. And if you directly jump for the advanced things, then I don't think so you will get much more things. So this is the my perspective. Generally, I do lots of research. For example, the container. So how Docker is able to use these containers. So in the Linux, there is a one concept, namespace, right? So Docker basically using that namespace C groups to enable this kind of a structure, like containers, like how this Kubernetes architecture, well, let's say 𝐴@CD, or maybe you are all guys are gone through about this Kubernetes architecture and what is Kubernetes, right? So how Kubernetes, they are managing these kind of things. If you understand these kind of things, then you will able to understand these all the complex infrastructure and architecture. So I generally do these kind of stuffs. Maybe you guys agree or not, not sure, but this is the basic core thing. If you understand the core thing, for example, scheduler, sometimes people feel like a scheduler is just creating the pods or scheduling, but it's not like that, right? Creating the pods is responsible for someone else. Basically it's responsibility something else, like kubelet you heard about. But if you think kubelet is creating the like Docker, sorry, pod, it doesn't that kind of things. Basically there is a concept, CRI, maybe a container runtime environment, right? So in that perspective, we need to first learn the architecture. After that, you can go, you can learn deployment, replica set, and all things, like, so you can understand better how things are working. Even someone give you some kind of other technology stuffs, you can relate it, and you can make understand, and you can gradually basically you can speed up on the all things. uh, yeah, these things I had in mind, so explain.
I just shared one link which for the killer
Mhm.
coda. So
Mhm.
if you see, if you're able to see my screen, so it's a
Yes.
free version. You can easily use killercoda.com. For Kubernetes, you can just, for example, playgrounds.
Background, right.
So from here, you can just select the version. Now, let's say 1.31, right? If you need Ubuntu based, for example, Linux based, any practicals for running the shell scripting or any commands, right? So you don't need to unnecessarily use any AWS environment. Let's say if not, if it's not a free, right? Because AWS provide only 1 year free. If that is expired, so you can use this kind of run playgrounds. Obviously, it's active for only 1 hour, but later on you can just create new one as well. So if you can just simply you select on that. So we need to sign up here. So I can sign up from the Gmail, but it will not ask for any charges like Code Cloud or something. You can use free of cost. It will spin up easily and you can just use it for any Linux practices.
Up to 1 hour, right?
Yeah, up to 1 hour you can use. You can see here the timing. If you want more hours, then you need to purchase, but we don't require. We can use free one.
Just to let you know, if you restart it, you'll get another 60 minutes of time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
If you just restart, yeah, it will start new session within a 60 minute. This is for Ubuntu and same you can use for other as well.
So basically, it provides a platform where you can practice for 1 hour, and every session expired, you need to again create new session and work on that, right? And all files, all the settings, it will be removed, whatever you have worked earlier, right?
Yeah, but the base environment you will get automatically.
Hmm.
Let's say this is for the Kubernetes, right? So you can just simply just launch it. We don't need to invest some money on the Kubernetes EKS cluster on the
Set.
AWS if it's not a free of cost.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's a small scale, like 2 GB something, but it's okay for the practice point of view. And you will get editor here. If you want to write any YAML file or something, you can use this editor. You can clone your repo here. You can edit from here as well. And you can just try to deploy that. Okay, spelling mistake. Okay, so you can just do the hands-on practical on this. You don't need to create any EKS cluster or something on the AWS. First time, definitely you can try to set up. Okay, just for the how you can set up the cluster with the scaling part. But later on, for any practice point of view, you can definitely use this free one playground. I think that's
clone
all.
the GitHub? Hello, Namda. Can you
Yeah,
clone a
yeah,
GitHub project on it?
yeah. You
Okay,
can just
okay.
simply clone your repo there. I close, but if I open again, you can just simply get your repo. Let's say, for example, this one. You can just simply just use this HTTPS method. You can just open it here, let it create. And you can just paste here. Say you have this Kubernetes, right? File. You can use editor.
Yes, yes. And here we can write YML code as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
To make a deployment.
You can just create folder file from here and you can just do the deployment. It's very interesting one platform you can use.
Thanks.
And if your repo is private, then you need a token, personal access token, if you want to
Yeah, yeah,
clone.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yes.